Withum is one of the firms that I would say is one of those leading firms. You know, you say that the term I've heard is there's a lot of fast followers at the market. They don't
There
want
are.
to be first, but we're happy to let somebody else go first, and then start to apply some of these techniques. So, what would you say you're focusing on at Withum as some of those more bleeding edge areas? Maybe they're in GenAI, maybe they're not actually in GenAI.
They are, but it's you know what it is that our industry is loaded, well not loaded, has a handful of legacy players in our industry, right? And these legacy players have made a very good living for their shareholders off of legacy products that have not changed much over the longest period of time.
Cash cow products, if you like.
Basically, yeah, and they have been, right? So our industry has migrated towards those for the longest time. But what I've noticed over the last couple of years is that there's been a tremendous amount of what I consider best of breed products popping up. And I travel the world, right? And what I've seen is that many of these best of breed products today that I see here in North America are not from North America.
Yep.
They're from the UK, they're from Australia. So we're starting to see, I look at the global language. I travel the world and every account is dealing with technology issues the same way. They're dealing with AI, they're dealing with RPA, they're dealing with machine learning. Auditors deal with different, methodologies around the globe. Audit differs from country to country, region to region. Tax tremendously differs from city to country. When it comes to technology, we're all doing the same sort of things. I could be seeing in a session, which I was, in Germany. I don't speak German. And they're talking about the technology challenges they have. And all of a sudden I hear 365, Microsoft 3. I'm like, what? That's English. So it's the common language because we're all dealing with the same things today. Yeah. So the same challenges that the medium-sized firm are dealing with from a technology perspective in the UK, we're dealing with the same things in New York, in LA, in Orlando, Florida. Same exact challenges.
Do you think that GenAI is the biggest opportunity for firms right now? Or do you see there being other areas that most firms can make bigger gains from based on where they currently stand?
Wow, that's a great question. So it is the hottest thing right now going on in profession.
Yep.
So I have no clients, right? What I look at is how can we leverage these types of technologies to generate additional revenue for the firm. I know we as a firm are dealing with AI challenges and everyone is asking how can we leverage AI in tax practice, in audit practice. I know my clients are asking the same questions about how they can leverage AI in their business. So I'm always, to me, the opportunity is always looking ahead at how can I monetize this latest and greatest technology to generate additional revenue, provide consulting to our clients. I mean, that's exactly how I view it. I think it's a huge opportunity, and I think we have to seize the opportunity. It's not new. It's been, that's the whole thing. It's not new. It's not new. It's been around for the longest time. But again, it wasn't until I keep going back to ChatGPT and until people said, "Wow, there's AI going on in here. There's, what's happening?" That's when it raised awareness.
But I think if I was to play that back, what you're saying is basically you view the biggest opportunity with generative AI to be able to advise your clients.
That's what I personally
on how to view that. But I think what's really interesting is, and we've seen this historically as well, I think IBM is probably one of the best examples of this.
Yeah, sure.
If you can get out ahead of some of these trends and bring them into your business, you build the credibility and the experience to be able to then provide that advice and consultative service to firms that they can generate.
Let me tell you, man,
themselves.
I agree with you 100%. So here's my method to my madness. What I do is I try to bring the technology in-house first. I try to educate. I want my partners, I want my staff to see what this means to them. And I'll give you a perfect example, Copilot. Right? We deployed Copilot. As soon as Microsoft dropped the licensing to the point where it made it economic for us to go out, we bought 300 licenses out of the gate on Copilot. I gave it to the most tech-savvy people in the firm, right? So those people that could live in it. Why? The method of my madness here, yes, I want to make this more efficient, but I want them to understand what it can do for them. Because I have 2,600 people out with them. I have 2,600% potential salespeople out there on the street meeting with clients and prospects. That's all business. So if they can brag about, that's what they do. They brag about, hey, here's what we did with Copilot.
Yep.
And then our clients want to do the same thing. they know, our staff know, to plug them into our advisory team.
Yeah.
So that's the value. But again, I think I often tell firms that are struggling with technology, you're never going to develop an external technology practice unless you get your technology house in order.
Yeah.
When a firm is humming on literally the latest, greatest, best technologies, and there's no hiccups, that's when they have the opportunity now to derive revenue from marketing that type of stuff to their clients.
A lot of people talk about that compliance-led advisory.
Yeah.
And from what I see, it'd be interesting, this resonates with you.
Sure.
How could you be credible providing advice around generative AI, let's say cyber, for example, another hot topic area, if your core services like audit tags, you're using old school legacy desktop software, how can that be? How
you
can
can't
have integrity?
You can't. And the problem with our profession, we lived in, you look at it, what are most of the machines today used by accounting for? They're Windows-based machines, they're laptops, and many of the applications that we have in our profession are not cloud-based. They're not vendor, they're not browser agnostic, they're not device agnostic. So we're forced to use legacy piece of equipment. To me, if I'm a kid in school graduating, I've been on an Apple all my entire life, and I come into the firm and all of a sudden they drop in front of me a Windows-based machine. I'm going back in time. But that's because the legacy vendors in our space did not force us to upgrade, did not force change, and we were stuck in this legacy world. And that right now, a lot of these kids are confused. They're entering a profession where they see legacy technology mixed with really cool state-of-the-art. I would love to take all of our technology, get rid of the legacy players in our technology stack, and replace them with current state-of-the-art technology. Easier said than done, because we're a big ship, a lot of offices, a lot of staff, a lot of clients. It takes longer for us to shift it. I often say I wish it was like 23 again, entering the profession, because I would be 100% of the cloud. I would be 100% remote. I would be leveraging the technology that I would want my clients to leverage.
I've said for a while now, it would be easier some of the time to build an accounting firm from the ground up using the best technology that there is.
Absolutely.
Than trying to transform the firms that currently stand.
There is a huge opportunity today for young entrepreneurial CPAs to literally cast off, go out on their own, and create firms from. If they're leaving a firm that doesn't believe in state-of-the-art technology that's holding them back, there's a huge opportunity for them out there to leverage that. There absolutely is.
Just going back to generative AI, are there any specific use cases, any particular activities? You've got 2,600 people experimenting with Copilot.
We do, yeah.
What kind of things are standing out for you in terms of giving some people some examples of? We used to do this task, used to take X amount of time. We've now been able to use GenAI to replace that, to enhance exchange. Just a couple that maybe spring to mind.
The list is a mile long, right? So in audit, think about all the challenges you have in audit. I'm an entry-level kid. I'm working on an audit. I'm coming across revenue recognition issues. I don't even know what revenue recognition is, right? So I go to Copilot in our suite of products that we're delivering to them, and it's very focused on a certain database, and they're leveraging the knowledge base that we are focusing on. Give me information about revenue recognition. Give me information about deferred taxes. Give me information about, maybe it's a kid that's working in an industry for the first time. Well, the firm is qualified because the firm has done the industry. And maybe the kid doesn't understand auto dealerships, or doesn't understand transportation companies, boats, or whatever it might be. So we give them, they have the ability to leverage Copilot to do a lot. Research is probably the number one. Also, projects. So we deliver a lot of financial statements to our clients. Some of the big financial statements, we have to do a PowerPoint or a presentation to a board, our client's board. And we give them an overview. Now we're not reading the financial statements, but what we're leveraging is we're leveraging Copilot with PowerPoint to be able to put additional industry content, industry knowledge, current events about a specific industry. So when we come in, we're able to differentiate ourselves from our competitors, but not just talking about the financial statements, but talking about our knowledge of their industry and what we know, including current events that are happening that they may or may not be aware of because of leveraging. It is so powerful today.
And that's a lovely blend of basically summarization of detailed documents. Give me the key talking points out.
Exactly.
Blending it with the research piece of saying, well, what's going on in this particular industry?
What's going on in the industry? You do benchmarking, you do all that kind of stuff that we traditionally have done forever in our firms. But it's giving more current events on what's happening in industry. This way, when you're coming off a year-end on a financial statement, you're letting the board know, I really am on top of what's happening in your industry. And no better way to do a brainstorming on an audit than to understand the ramifications of those economic conditions on the financial statements as well.
Yeah, no, really good examples, and I think firms are looking for some of those silver bullet. It's gonna change this completely.
There's so many.
These categories give them a little bit more. Research is a great area. Summarization of detailed documents, preparation of administrative type activities. There's a lot of opportunities.
What you're talking about are all of those manual things, right? And again, it's sad because a lot of the kids in our profession, their tasks be all the manual tasks. And, there's such a fear out there. What are these kids going to do? How are they going to learn? They don't need to learn by doing that stuff. Let's put them in a different position.
Just because we learn.
Exactly. I don't want, just because I had a miserable time learning like that doesn't mean
it was miserable.
It was miserable. You know what I mean? I worked massive amount of hours doing manual tasks.
You read the invoice, write down what the invoice says. It's like, but that's the learning experience. That wasn't the learning experience.
It was a learning
experience was all about, okay, so what's that mean? How do I go and have the conversation with the client? How do I understand this business? And
that's it.
And that's where I feel people maybe miss a trick in terms of thinking about, well, the hard yards were the tasks. No, the hard yards were what came after the manual task in terms of interpreting. And
that's what I want the young professionals to do. I'd rather deliver to them all the stuff that we used to do manually. I want to deliver that to them using a combination of all these latest and greatest technologies. I'm going to put that in front of them. Now I want them to understand it and utilize the skill sets that they learned in school to be able to take that to the next level.
Now, so many firms tell me that they're struggling to recruit and retain talent, but that doesn't sound like that's a problem with us. So
I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe I'm biased because I started as an intern in my firm and I've been there ever since. So I don't have any experience outside, but we do not struggle to hire people. And I swear, I'm not making that up. We do not struggle.
What do you think of the secrets and the success of you being able to attract the talent?
Well, there's so many things. I mean, when they start with us, we put, I'm biased, but we put the latest and greatest technologies in their hands. I mean, I hear from young professionals that I ask them what they like about their job. A lot of them are talking about technology. They like the fact that we do that. I mean, we have a fun environment. I mean, our tagline that we have that's not out there in the public is work hard, play hard. And that's always been our mantra. If you follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and LinkedIn, which we've done, is that we talk about our culture.
I love your annual videos.
And our annual videos, I mean, we have a theme behind the annual videos. And in the early days, we go in and do an acquisition in the city of New York, our first time. And we do a video, a flash mob outside of a building in New York where the other firm was and that we acquired. And it was a video of us coming into the city. Are you ready for Withum? This is what we're all about. Yeah, and a funny story on that one. So we did that video in New York City, and like anything else with mergers, this, sometimes there's snags and legal holes, and we don't pull it off over the day we're supposed to. Well, we were supposed to have merged in this firm prior to doing the video for their building, and because of legal issues, it got a little delayed. But we couldn't change our plans on doing a flash mob because we had that all down. Right. So we actually...
You've been rehearsing.
We've been practicing, And in the city of New York, you got to be careful because you can't just show up with 100 people in front of the building and blast music and do a flash mob if there's a real problem.
Yeah.
So we knew we had to do it that day. So what's really funny is we did that flash mob video, and at the very tail end of the video, there's a clip that shows us looking at the crowd. And there were partners from the firm that we had acquired that were filming us, looking at what is it with these guys? What are they doing? They had no clue that an acquisition was about to take place. But it's a funny story on what actually happened with that.
Is that how you now announce all of your acquisitions?
I know. No, cat's out of the bag. We're only able to do it once. And each year we try to do a different theme.
So if you ever see Jim outside your office about to break into
Well, it's funny you say that. So I go into an office and we do due diligence like you would normally do when you acquire a firm. And I remember we're real active with the Boomer Circles and Gary and Jim Weber. And so I know a lot of IT professionals in the industry. So I went into a firm once that we were planning on acquiring, and I walked past the IT, and a light didn't go off for me. I'm like, hey Jim, how you doing? What are you doing here? Why are you here? And I ran with him everywhere I go, except when we do like potential acquisition, where Withum closed. And they recognized me, and it was a little bit of an issue. It was an awkward moment.
Oh well. The final question. Yeah. On the topic of acquisition, there's so much M&A going on in the market.
There is.
And I think that you guys have a really good approach in terms of how you're onboarding firms in a way that you really focus on culture, technology, things like that.
Yep.
What advice would you give to other firms who are maybe struggling with, or maybe doing a lot more of the M&A that they have done previously, in terms of what you see as being the secrets to success, or things that will maybe set you up on the wrong path for an M&A?
So, like when you get married, most people don't just get married. I mean, we're here in Vegas, so that's tough to say. People just get married here, right?
Regularly getting married, it's like every night. Here,
right.
Yeah.
So you don't just get married. I mean, you go through a period where you're dating, an engagement period. So whenever we identify potential firms to merge in, we want to make sure that we date them. We want to make sure that they're going to be a good cultural fit in our firm. The last thing that we want to do is disrupt our culture. The last thing that we want to do is merge in a bunch of jerks. I mean, I'm just being totally honest with you, and these are conversations we have.
You don't need to be working with jerks.
Right, exactly. Nobody wants to work with jerks, right? So you want to make sure, because again, you're acquiring a firm, you want to make sure that they're very similar to you, that they have the same, ethical foundation. Yeah, exactly as you do. So you want less disruption, especially at the partner group. And so we date quite a while. Some people say that we're a little too slow at it, but that's our philosophy. So we like a mix of organic growth as well as acquisition. So generally we look at about a 40% acquisition and a 60% organic. That allows us to grow with our culture. And we've never had a demerger in a firm. Every single acquisition that we've ever done, we've ended up growing that practice much larger than it would otherwise have been able to grow on its own. Now, it's being able to leverage all the talent and resources that we have available. And then it creates really a great pipeline for additional staff for us, because they get to experience like the Withum way, the way our culture is. We're one of the few firms that is in a market that we have not taken on private equity. And that is our mantra. We are continuing to grow.
You're staying independent.
Oh, we're staying, absolutely. We're staying independent. We continue to grow. We want to have a firm, and the partners that came before me at Withum handed me a firm that had the opportunity to grow. Could they have taken more out? Could they have taken private equity? Yes, absolutely. So our belief at the current partner level is that we want to have a firm and hand over a firm to the people that come behind us, just like those guys. And could we be taking more money out? Could we be grabbing the private equity route? We absolutely would be. There's such a huge demand for it out there, but we have our young professionals in mind that we want to create an environment where they have the ability to grow as well. I've been with Withum 38 years, and today the large shareholder. I will tell you that everyone that comes behind us, I want to give them the opportunity that I was given by the core founders and the founder team.
And what impact do you see from your perspective of firms who aren't taking on private equity? Because it's starting to have a ripple effect on our whole profession.
It is. Again, it's our profession has gone through many different stages, and I will tell you it's probably the right thing to do for many firms. I'm not against private equity. I think there are many different ways to grow in our profession. It's just not right for our firm. When it comes to private equity, it is good for some firms, maybe firms that don't have a solid solid pipeline, firms that want to grow exponentially much quicker than they ever have. I will agree that we can't grow as quick as a firm that's private equity funded. We just don't have the financial resource to do it. But you know what? That's not a bad thing. That's okay.
But you're making a very deliberate choice.
It is a very deliberate choice.
It's a clear strategy. You've sat down as a partner group.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We want to stay independent, or conversely, you could be. We want to explore private equity, but it's important that firms make that deliberate decision.
You have to do it deliberately. And like I said, our way of growth, double-digit growth every single year that we've been in business, that's been the focus for Withum for the last 50 years. And so again, like I said, we think about that generation of partners, the generation of professionals that come behind us. We want them to have the faith in the firm like we had the faith in the firm that our founders gave us. So that's been our philosophy, continues to be our philosophy. We're all on that page. But again, our profession will grow in many different ways. And private equity is not a way in which we conceive that we have the ability to grow.
it's a really exciting time for the profession.
It is an exciting time.
I think there's so much potential. We spend too much time talking about some of the challenges, some of the negativity.
Huge opportunities.
There's so
out
much
there.
opportunity.
Absolutely. Huge opportunities. Partners and firms, I mean, materialistically, I mean, they drive in nice cars, they're living in nice houses, they have a great quality of life. Yes, I know quality of life for an entry-level account is not the best, right? But it's tough. And I'm not saying you need to do your time, but you need to spend time immersed in work to understand work. And then, but we have, I mean, how many professions allow you to go from an employee to an owner of the firm in a fairly short amount of time, and make a really decent living? So, and that's a story for accounts around.
And the opportunities are open as well.
Absolutely.
Once you have the CPA qualification,
Absolutely. They write their own ticket. I tell, I mentor a lot of young professionals, and we talk all the time, and they say to me, Jim, what do I have to do to become a partner? And I say, basically, just differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
If you can differentiate yourself, you have the ability to be a partner. Pave your own way.
Jim, I really appreciate it.
All right, man.
You're super generous.
Yeah, thank you, man.
The knowledge you share with everybody
Thanks.
Across the whole profession.
Thanks. Do I get a book, man? Do I get a book? Come
Absolutely, you get it. I'll even sign the thing for you.
All right, that'd be good. I love that,
No
man.
problem at all. I'll get it signed for you.
That sounds good, man.
You're going to build up your collection of
I am.
my books, right?
This is book
This
number
is the first
2.
edition, this.
It's good, man.
First edition. It might be worth something.
That's
in the future,
good.
You never know.
You're
Maybe
right,
even
man.
more than $50.
Thank you.
Now it's an AI-enabled book.
I love it,
isn't
man.
So,
I love it. I love it. All right, man. Thank you.
appreciate that.